Hey everyone, it's India. So today I'm going to be sharing a testimony. If you haven't already checked out my last video that Sheridan filmed, I definitely think you should. It was absolutely amazing. But today I'm going to be talking about a time when I was experiencing panic attacks and anxiety quite badly. So every Friday I go to my youth group, and my youth group is pretty much like a church service but just for teenagers. I have been ever since I was a teenager, so year 7, and it's literally my home. Everyone there is like my family, and I genuinely wouldn't ever want to miss it. So there was this one Friday in particular about 2.5 years ago, and we were in a location that was different to our normal location. So this location we were in was a lot smaller, but there was still the same amount of people. So I remember feeling really anxious and overwhelmed in this place, so I decided to leave and walk out and just talk to someone about it, and I eventually came back, but I just pinned it down to me being overwhelmed and claustrophobic in this small space. But little did I know that this was going to be the first panic attack that I would experience out of many. I ended up experiencing a panic attack 2 to 3 times a week, every week for many months, and it genuinely was a feeling that I would never wish upon anyone. I just completely lost control of all my emotions and all my actions, and I was just so panicky and anxious and uncontrollably crying. And in my case, I didn't know the reason, whether there really was a reason or not. So I just felt stupid. I felt embarrassed because I was crying over what felt like nothing. But these panic attacks really just affected all areas of my life. I was really emotional at school. I was really anxious at school. I lost motivation. I didn't really want to go anywhere. I didn't really want to hang out with a lot of people. And it just was a time where I just was living in fear, and I was living in this anxiety, and I wasn't really doing much about it. I was still praying about it, and I was talking to some people, but I was kind of just letting the anxiety control me now that I think about it. That's a really negative place to be, to let your fear control you. Obviously, I was just getting sick of it. It was affecting all areas of my life. It was making me not even want to come to my youth group or church anymore because I was scared that I was going to get a panic attack. I actually started just going with the expectation that I was going to get one, and then I'll just have to leave the room for a bit and come back. And like I said, having that expectation that it was just a routine now, getting panic attacks, really let the anxiety and the panic attacks control me and control how I felt and controlled what I did. Sometimes I would leave the room just before they would happen because I felt that they were going to come. And I think that's just a perfect example of the panic attacks controlling what I did. But eventually I was just sick of it. And I remember it was one church service where the pastor on stage, he was pretty much like, I just want you to declare something right now that you want God to do over your life. And all I wanted in that moment was to just get rid of these panic attacks. So that's what I said. I said, God, I want these panic attacks gone. I can't live in this anxiety anymore, because I genuinely didn't know how I was going to put up with it. In that moment, I felt, it's such an indescribable thing, but I just felt peace kind of wash over me. And I knew in that moment that I wasn't going to get another panic attack again. And I know that's crazy to say because, like, nothing physically had changed. If you looked at me, I wasn't any different, but I felt it. And from then on, I genuinely have not experienced a panic attack ever again. Obviously, I've been anxious and I've been panicky and whatever, but I've never had a full-blown panic attack again. And seriously, praise God for that, because all it took was one single moment. I actually think it's so encouraging that it took me months and months and months to try and work out what was going on, work out what the problem was, but all it took was for God was one single moment where I just said, I don't want these anymore. And he healed me. And I think that's encouraging to know that if he can do it in me, he can do it in anyone. But I also understand it doesn't always work like that. Some people, for some reason, and I don't have all the answers, but for some reason, people just don't always get healed straight away. But I do believe that God does have a plan for everything, that he can bring good out of everything. And so I think that for people that have struggled previously like me, or are currently battling anxiety, God can actually find a way to use that. And whether that's being able to help someone else, because now we have that personal experience of what it's like to struggle with anxiety, I think now we can help other people that are also going through that in such a different way than people who haven't ever experienced it. I also think for me it was a lesson learned that I just need to just take a step back and be like, there is nothing I can do to help this, so if you want to heal me, then heal me. And that was a lesson I learned, to just not rely on my own ability, but rely on God. What's really encouraging to me is it says in the Bible that faith the size of a mustard seed can move mountains. And I remember in that moment when I asked God to take away my panic attacks, I didn't necessarily believe it. I'd been wanting this for months, but in that moment I decided to use whatever little bit of faith I had left to just ask for it, and it happened. So I think that's also amazing, that we don't actually have to be super strong all the time. We can just being able to ask that, having the faith to ask that was enough, and I think that's really amazing. So anyway, that is my journey and story with anxiety. I just want to tell everyone that is struggling with anxiety that it actually doesn't have to control you, and I really do believe that you can overcome it. And I'm really excited to hear any stories of you guys being healed from that. I really hope this story helped you in some way, even if it just grew your faith a little bit. But that's all from me today, and the next video will not be me, it'll be someone else, so I'm really excited for you guys to hear that. So yeah, I'm really excited for that, and I hope you guys enjoy my next video.